Imagine carrying a stranger inside of you, someone who knows your deepest fears, your most hidden desires, and all the parts of you that you prefer to pretend don't exist. This stranger isn't an external person, but a reflection of your unconscious self, your shadow. The concept of the shadow was introduced by Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. According to Jung, the shadow represents the unconscious part of the personality that contains all the traits, emotions, and desires that we consciously deny or repress. These can include elements of our psyche that society has conditioned us to ignore or suppress, such as anger, jealousy, shame, guilt, and fear. Often, our shadow contains the aspects of ourselves that we don't want to face because they conflict with the image we want to project to the world. It's the part of us that we try to hide, not just from others, but from ourselves as well. Jung believed that the shadow isn't inherently bad or evil, but rather a natural part of being human. It's simply the unconscious side of our personality that we're often too afraid to acknowledge. In essence, the shadow is like an iceberg, with most of it hidden beneath the surface, influencing our behavior in ways we don't fully understand. Why do we repress these aspects of ourselves in the first place? The answer lies in our early experiences. From a young age, we're taught what is acceptable and what is not. We're encouraged to express certain emotions, like happiness or love, but are often taught to suppress others, such as anger, sadness, or fear. For example, many children are told not to cry or show weakness, which leads them to hide these natural emotions as they grow older. This repression isn't necessarily intentional, but it happens because we're trying to fit into societal norms, and we learn that certain traits are bad or undesirable. Over time, we begin to reject parts of ourselves in order to gain approval and avoid criticism. These repressed emotions don't disappear, though. They become buried in the unconscious mind, where they continue to exert influence over us. They can manifest in subtle ways, through behaviors that we don't fully understand, such as feeling irrationally angry in certain situations, or being inexplicably afraid of certain people or events. These repressed emotions are like time bombs, ticking away in our psyche, ready to explode when triggered. The more we suppress them, the more power they gain over our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Living with an unacknowledged shadow is like living with a hidden master that controls your thoughts and behaviors without you even realizing it. The impact is often subtle, but it's profound. Have you ever reacted to a situation with intense emotion, anger, fear, or sadness, and wondered where it came from? Or perhaps you've experienced a moment of self-sabotage where you didn't feel in control of your own actions. These are often the moments when your shadow is operating in the background, influencing your responses without your conscious awareness. It might be a slight, sudden irritation that causes you to lash out at someone you care about. Or it could be a deep, irrational fear that prevents you from taking a leap towards something you've always wanted. The shadow controls your reactions, often without you even being aware of it. And when these patterns occur, they create a cycle of pain and confusion that keeps you stuck. But here's the truth. By avoiding the shadow, you're only allowing it to continue manipulating your life. The more you try to deny it, the more it will shape your actions from behind the scenes. This is why shadow work is so essential. It helps bring these hidden forces into your conscious awareness so you can begin to understand and transform them. So, what exactly is shadow work? At its core, shadow work is the process of bringing these unconscious parts of ourselves into the light of consciousness. It's about acknowledging the parts of you that you've been avoiding, rejecting, or hiding. This work is not about eliminating your shadow or trying to change who you are at the core. It's about integrating these repressed aspects so that they no longer control you. It's about understanding them, learning from them, and using them to empower yourself. Shadow work involves confronting your fears, desires, and emotions, those parts of you that you've kept hidden for so long, and embracing them as part of who you are. It requires courage to look at the darker aspects of yourself, but by doing so, you begin the journey of self-discovery and healing. The goal isn't to make your shadow disappear. It's to learn how to coexist with it and use it to fuel your growth. Only by facing these hidden parts of yourself can you achieve true self-awareness and freedom. Without this integration, you remain stuck in patterns of denial, repeating the same destructive behaviors over and over again. Shadow work is a transformative process that empowers you to live more authentically, more consciously, and with greater emotional freedom. Have you ever wondered why you react so intensely to certain situations, or why patterns seem to repeat in your life, even when you try to change? These moments are often signs that your shadow is quietly controlling you. The shadow operates behind the scenes, influencing your thoughts, behaviors, and reactions without you even realizing it. You may think you're acting out of your own free will, but in reality, the shadow is steering the ship, and you're simply along for the ride. One of the clearest signs that your shadow is in control is when you find yourself repeating destructive patterns, especially when it comes to relationships. Perhaps you continually attract the same kind of toxic people, or you end up sabotaging your own success when things start to go well. These are signs that your unconscious mind is at work, operating from a place of unresolved trauma, fear, or shame. Your shadow is drawing these situations to you, not out of any conscious desire, but because it's trying to get your attention. It's almost as if your shadow is shouting, "There's something here you need to face." But instead of listening, you continue to repeat the same mistakes, unaware that you're being influenced by something deeper within you. Another indication that your shadow is calling the shots is when you experience intense emotional reactions to seemingly minor events. Maybe someone says something that triggers an irrational wave of anger, or a small inconvenience throws you into a spiral of frustration or anxiety. These exaggerated reactions are often a direct manifestation of the shadow. They point to unprocessed emotions, unresolved past experiences, or repressed aspects of yourself that are begging to be acknowledged. Instead of addressing the real issue, you're unconsciously reacting to a deeper wound that hasn't been healed. These emotional outbursts are like alarms going off inside your mind, warning you that there's something important beneath the surface that you need to confront. But most people dismiss these triggers, thinking they're just moments of bad luck or overreaction. In truth, they are windows into your shadow self, and if you learn to pay attention to them, they can guide you toward deeper self-awareness. Your shadow also has a unique way of making you feel stuck. You might feel like you're unable to move forward in life, despite your best efforts. Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal growth, there's a sense of being trapped in a cycle of stagnation. This feeling of being stuck is often the result of unaddressed shadow work. When the unconscious mind is not acknowledged, it starts to build up pressure, creating an internal resistance to change. Your shadow holds on to beliefs, fears, and patterns that prevent you from stepping into your full potential. The deeper the repression, the stronger the resistance to breaking free from old patterns. You may feel like you're doing everything right on the surface, but deep down, something is holding you back. This is your shadow at work, pulling the strings in ways you can't yet see. Overcoming this resistance requires diving into the uncomfortable parts of yourself, the parts you've been avoiding, and acknowledging the fears or beliefs that keep you stuck. Another telltale sign that your shadow is in control is self-sabotage. It can be so subtle that you don't even realize you're doing it, but if you look closely, you'll see that every time something good happens in your life, you find a way to undermine it. Maybe you procrastinate on important tasks, or you push away people who genuinely care about you. You may even self-destruct in subtle ways, like engaging in negative self-talk or avoiding situations where you could succeed. This self-sabotaging behavior often stems from a fear of success, a deep-rooted belief that you're not worthy of happiness, or an unconscious desire to remain in a comfort zone, even if that zone is toxic. Your shadow thrives in these moments of self-sabotage, reinforcing your old patterns of shame and inadequacy. The fear of success can be just as powerful as the fear of failure, and the shadow uses both to keep you trapped in cycles of self-doubt and destruction. Imagine spending the next 30 days confronting the parts of yourself you've spent years avoiding. What would happen if you could look at your deepest fears, your most uncomfortable emotions, and your darkest traits, not with judgment, but with curiosity? This is the essence of the 30-day shadow work challenge. It's a commitment to face your unconscious self, to bring those hidden parts into the light, and to do it every single day for an entire month. This process is not easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and honesty. But the rewards are profound. Over the course of 30 days, you'll start to notice shifts in how you see yourself, how you interact with the world, and how you handle the challenges that come your way. The key to this challenge is consistency. It's not about making huge changes overnight, but about dedicating time every day to connect with your inner self in a real and honest way. The goal is to gradually build awareness of your shadow, those parts of you that have been hidden, repressed, or denied, and begin the process of integration. So, how do you start? How do you begin to engage in this transformative work on a daily basis? The first step in the 30-day shadow work challenge is to create space for self-reflection. Set aside a specific time each day, whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or before bed, where you can be alone and quiet. This time is sacred. It's a moment where you commit to being fully present with yourself, without distractions or judgment. You don't need a special setting or a particular technique to begin, but you do need to approach this time with intention. Begin by simply observing your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Notice how you feel in the moment. What triggers you? What emotions arise that seem to come out of nowhere? These moments are opportunities to connect with your shadow. When something triggers a strong reaction, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is this telling me about myself? Take note of your thoughts and emotions, and be curious, not critical. Remember, this process is about understanding yourself, not about fixing yourself. The more consistently you take this time each day to reflect, the more you will start to uncover the hidden layers of your psyche. As you continue with the 30-day shadow work challenge, journaling becomes an essential tool. Writing down your thoughts, emotions, and experiences is one of the most effective ways to bring your shadow into conscious awareness. The act of journaling forces you to slow down and examine your inner world. It's a way to give voice to the parts of yourself that have been silenced, allowing them to be heard. Begin each journaling session by asking yourself simple questions. What am I afraid to acknowledge? What parts of me do I reject or feel ashamed of? These questions are designed to push you past your comfort zone, to help you explore the emotions and beliefs that you've been avoiding. Don't worry if you don't have immediate answers. Just allow the pen to flow, writing whatever comes to mind, without judgment or censorship. In time, you'll begin to notice patterns in your writing, recurring themes, hidden fears, and unresolved conflicts. These are the signs of your shadow calling for attention. Journaling is one of the most powerful tools for uncovering these hidden aspects and beginning the process of integration. The third step in the challenge is to embrace the discomfort. Shadow work isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about sitting with the uncomfortable emotions and thoughts that arise during this process. When you begin to confront the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, you will likely feel resistance. You might feel embarrassed, angry, or ashamed. This is completely normal. The key is to sit with these feelings without running away from them. The more you resist, the more power these hidden aspects will have over you. But when you allow yourself to feel the discomfort and work through it, you begin to loosen the grip your shadow has on your life. Think of it like working out a muscle. You have to push through the discomfort in order to grow stronger. This is a difficult but crucial part of the shadow work process. By committing to facing yourself each day, no matter how uncomfortable it gets, you begin to rewire your brain and break free from old patterns of behavior. Over the course of 30 days, you'll find that these moments of discomfort become less overwhelming. You'll develop a greater sense of emotional resilience and a deeper connection to your authentic self. The final step in the 30-day shadow work challenge is to integrate what you've learned. This is where the real transformation happens. As you've reflected, journaled, and sat with your discomfort, you've likely discovered parts of yourself that were previously hidden. These may include repressed fears, limiting beliefs, or unresolved emotional wounds. When you react to a trigger with awareness, you are no longer avoiding or suppressing your shadow. You are inviting it to surface and be seen. In this sense, triggers are an invitation to make peace with your darkest emotions and beliefs. They are not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities for growth. Every time you face a trigger with curiosity instead of reactivity, you take a step closer to integrating your shadow. This is where the real transformation happens, not in avoiding the pain, but in turning it into a moment of awareness and understanding. The more you practice this, the more you will begin to see triggers as gifts, tools that guide you toward healing and greater self-awareness. It's important to remember that this process takes time. Shadow work is not about perfection. It's about progress. The more you practice observing your triggers and turning them into moments of awareness, the easier it will become. Over time, you will notice that your emotional reactions to certain situations start to soften. What once triggered you into a state of anger or despair may now feel less intense or even insignificant. This is the power of working with your shadow. By continuously bringing awareness to the unconscious parts of yourself, you begin to shift the patterns that have been running your life. You become more emotionally resilient, more self-aware, and more in control of your responses. Ultimately, this process of working with triggers is about reclaiming your power and taking responsibility for your emotions. Instead of allowing triggers to control you, you begin to control how you respond to them, creating a more conscious, empowered, and authentic way of living. The idea of dedicating 30 days to shadow work can seem daunting at first. The journey into your unconscious mind, the willingness to confront your darkest fears, and the commitment to face the parts of yourself you've long ignored all require immense courage. But what happens after those 30 days? What kind of transformation can you expect once you've walked through this process of deep introspection and emotional healing? The truth is, the change that occurs within you is both subtle and profound. It's not about achieving perfection or instant enlightenment. Instead, it's about becoming more aware, more authentic, and more at peace with yourself. The first and most noticeable shift you'll experience is an increase in self-awareness. You will start to understand the ways in which your past wounds, traumas, and suppressed emotions have shaped your present reality. You'll begin to see the unconscious patterns that have been controlling your life, whether it's self-sabotage, people-pleasing behaviors, or recurring emotional triggers, and you'll have the clarity to break free from them. This newfound self-awareness allows you to step out of autopilot mode and into the driver's seat of your life. Instead of reacting to situations based on old patterns, you begin to respond from a place of conscious choice. Another transformation that often occurs after 30 days of shadow work is an increase in emotional resilience. As you confront your shadow and integrate the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, you begin to build a stronger, more grounded sense of self. You learn to sit with discomfort and emotional pain without being overwhelmed by it. You develop the ability to process emotions as they arise, rather than suppressing or denying them. This emotional resilience allows you to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and composure. Situations that once triggered intense reactions, whether it's frustration, anger, or sadness, may begin to feel less destabilizing. The key to this transformation lies in your ability to face your emotions instead of running from them. By embracing your shadow, you no longer allow it to control your emotional responses. Instead, you begin to respond to life's challenges from a place of calm, clarity, and inner strength. After 30 days of shadow work, you may also experience a shift in your relationships. The more you learn to accept and love yourself, flaws and all, the more you're able to accept others in the same way. You'll stop projecting your own insecurities, fears, and judgments onto the people around you. As you heal the parts of yourself that were once fragmented, you start to form more authentic and meaningful connections with others. You'll notice that the need for validation and approval from others starts to fade as you become more confident in your own sense of worth. This shift in self-love and acceptance allows you to attract healthier, more balanced relationships and to let go of toxic dynamics that no longer serve you. Whether it's with family, friends, or romantic partners, the relationships you form after shadow work are built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and emotional depth. Your capacity for empathy grows as you come to understand the shadow in yourself and others, making it easier to connect with people from a place of compassion and non-judgment. Perhaps the most profound transformation after 30 days of shadow work is the sense of inner peace and self-acceptance that emerges. For most people, this journey is about finally embracing all parts of themselves, the light and the dark. It's about letting go of the shame, guilt, and self-criticism that has held you back from truly loving yourself. Once you have confronted your shadow and integrated its lessons, you begin to experience a deep sense of inner peace. No longer do you feel at war with yourself. You have made peace with your imperfections and accepted your flaws as part of your human experience. This acceptance brings with it a profound sense of freedom. You are no longer burdened by the weight of repressed emotions, unmet needs, or unresolved conflicts. You can finally step into the fullness of who you are, without fear of judgment or rejection. This inner peace also manifests externally, as you begin to attract situations, opportunities, and people that reflect your newfound sense of self-worth and authenticity. It's important to note that the transformation you experience after 30 days of shadow work is not an end, but a beginning. This process is ongoing, and each day offers new opportunities for growth, healing, and integration. The 30-day challenge serves as a catalyst for lasting change, but it's up to you to continue the work. The more you practice shadow work, the more you will deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The transformation doesn't stop at 30 days. It continues as you continue to confront your shadow, embrace your emotions, and take responsibility for your own healing. As you walk this path, you will become increasingly attuned to the needs of your soul, and you'll find yourself living a life that feels more aligned with your true essence. The end result is not just a better version of yourself, but a more authentic, empowered, and deeply connected version of who you are meant to be. The truth about shadow work is that most people will never embark on this journey. They may hear about it, read about it, or even be intrigued by the idea of facing their unconscious mind, but very few will actually commit to the process. Why? Because shadow work demands vulnerability, courage, and the willingness to confront the parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, and it requires us to let go of the familiar patterns that have kept us safe, even if they are dysfunctional. The majority of people are not ready for this level of deep self-exploration. They are too attached to their ego, too afraid of the darkness that lurks within, and too comfortable in their routines to challenge themselves in this way. Most people are content to live on autopilot, reacting to life based on old wounds and conditioned beliefs, never fully realizing their potential. Shadow work requires us to break free from these patterns and to embrace the uncomfortable journey of self-discovery. It's a path that demands honesty, commitment, and an openness to the unknown. But you can be part of the small minority that chooses this path. You can decide to face your shadow head-on and embrace the discomfort that comes with it. You can commit to the hard work of self-awareness and self-acceptance. The difference between those who never embark on this journey and those who do is simply the decision to take that first step. It's a decision to stop running from your fears, to stop avoiding your pain, and to stop letting your unconscious patterns dictate your life. Shadow work is not for the faint of heart, but if you're willing to do the work, it will transform your life in ways you never imagined. It's about breaking free from the chains of your past and stepping into your true power. It's about letting go of who you think you should be and embracing who you truly are. The rewards of this work are immense. As you integrate your shadow, you begin to experience a deeper sense of self-acceptance, emotional resilience, and inner peace. You become more aligned with your true self, no longer bound by old patterns of self-sabotage or fear. You attract healthier relationships, more fulfilling opportunities, and a life that reflects your authentic essence. You will be able to move through life with greater clarity, purpose, and confidence. Your shadow no longer holds power over you. It becomes a source of wisdom and strength, guiding you toward your highest potential. The goal of shadow work is not to eradicate these aspects, but to accept them, understand them, and use them for growth. The integration process involves acknowledging these parts of yourself and allowing them to coexist with your conscious self. Instead of trying to push them away, you learn to work with them. You start to see them not as enemies, but as teachers, offering valuable insights into who you are and why you act the way you do. This process takes time, but with consistent effort, you will begin to experience a profound shift in how you view yourself and the world around you. After 30 days of committed shadow work, you may not have fixed everything, but you will have begun a journey of deep self-awareness and healing that will continue to unfold for months and years to come. Journaling is one of the most profound tools for shadow work, yet it's also one of the most overlooked. In a world filled with distractions, sitting down to write can feel like an arduous task. But when it comes to confronting your shadow, journaling isn't just a habit. It's a gateway to self-awareness and transformation. The beauty of journaling lies in its ability to give you a safe space to express what you're often too afraid to admit, even to yourself. You see, your shadow thrives in secrecy and silence, hiding in the corners of your mind where you least expect it. By writing down your deepest thoughts, emotions, and fears, you allow your unconscious mind to surface in ways that are both powerful and healing. When you begin your journaling practice, don't worry about structure, grammar, or style. This isn't about writing something that sounds good. It's about being raw, honest, and vulnerable. The purpose is to bring to light the aspects of yourself that you've been repressing, so they no longer have control over you. What are the things you're afraid to admit? What emotions have you buried so deep that even you're unaware of them? Journaling allows you to answer these questions with a freedom that's impossible to find anywhere else. When you first begin writing, it might feel strange or uncomfortable. You might find yourself hesitating, unable to fully express what's on your mind. This is completely normal. After all, the purpose of shadow work is to confront the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding for years. The discomfort you feel in the beginning is simply the resistance of your unconscious mind trying to keep the status quo. However, as you continue to write every day, something miraculous happens. You begin to break through the walls that have been holding you back. Thoughts that once felt too painful to confront will begin to flow onto the page. You might write about your fears, regrets, or moments of shame. But you might also find that you uncover desires and dreams that you've suppressed because they didn't fit into your perfect image of yourself. These are the pieces of your shadow that need to be seen, not to judge you, but to help you heal and grow. Journaling gives your shadow a voice, and in doing so, it allows you to reclaim your power. As you dive deeper into the practice of journaling, you'll notice patterns beginning to emerge in your writing. These patterns are often clues that point directly to the hidden aspects of yourself that you've been avoiding. Maybe you'll notice a recurring theme of fear, or perhaps you'll find that you've been writing about the same traumatic event from your past over and over. These repetitions are not coincidences. They are signs that your shadow is trying to draw your attention to unresolved issues or emotions that need to be acknowledged. When you encounter these patterns, don't shy away from them. Instead, lean in. Explore them. Ask yourself why they keep coming up. What are they trying to tell you? The more you write, the more these themes will emerge, and the more you'll uncover the underlying beliefs, fears, and experiences that have been shaping your reality. The process of journaling and shadow work is not just about expressing your thoughts. It's about dissecting them, understanding their origins, and taking ownership of them. It's through this exploration that you begin to integrate your shadow, transforming it from something that controls you into a powerful source of insight and strength. One of the most powerful aspects of journaling is that it allows you to track your progress. Shadow work is not an overnight process. It's a long-term journey, and progress can sometimes feel slow. But when you look back at your journal entries from day one, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. In the beginning, you might have written about your fears, insecurities, and unresolved pain. But over time, you'll start to notice shifts in your writing. You might begin to write with greater compassion, understanding, and even gratitude for the very parts of yourself you once rejected. You may find that your fears are no longer as overwhelming as they once were, or that you're starting to make peace with the aspects of yourself that once seemed unbearable. Journaling not only gives you the opportunity to release your deepest emotions, but it also allows you to witness your own transformation in real time. By the end of your shadow work journey, your journal will be filled with the stories of your healing, growth, and self-discovery. It will be a testament to your courage, resilience, and commitment to facing the hidden parts of yourself. One of the most powerful and confronting techniques in shadow work is the mirror technique. This exercise challenges you to look directly at yourself, not just physically, but at the parts of your soul that you've been avoiding. The concept behind this technique is simple. You stand in front of a mirror and look into your own eyes, consciously acknowledging the aspects of yourself that you've denied or suppressed. It sounds easy enough, but the truth is, most people find this exercise deeply uncomfortable, if not unsettling. Why? Because the act of looking at yourself with honest eyes means confronting your own darkness, those parts of your psyche that you'd rather ignore. Whether it's shame, guilt, anger, or fear, your shadow is hidden in these emotions, and when you gaze into the mirror, you are forced to face them head-on. The mirror technique is not about self-judgment. It's about self-acceptance. It's about learning to hold space for all aspects of yourself, not just the good parts you show to the world, but also the parts you've tried to bury. In the beginning, you may find it difficult to stay in front of the mirror for long. You may feel resistance rise within you, urging you to look away or dismiss what you're seeing. This is your shadow at work, trying to avoid being seen. But if you can stay with the discomfort, you will begin to notice something remarkable. Your reflection starts to shift. Instead of seeing just a face, you begin to see deeper aspects of yourself. Perhaps you'll notice your own insecurities staring back at you. Maybe you'll see the vulnerability that you've always tried to hide from others. You might even begin to confront past traumas that you've carried for years. As unsettling as it might feel, this is the beginning of healing. The more you practice the mirror technique, the easier it becomes to sit with your discomfort and recognize the truth that lies beneath. You begin to realize that these parts of yourself are not enemies, but simply aspects that need your attention and compassion. The mirror technique also encourages you to speak to yourself with kindness and compassion. While standing in front of the mirror, try talking to yourself as if you were your own best friend. Acknowledge the parts of you that you've been neglecting and offer them understanding. Say things like, "I see your pain," "I accept you just as you are," or "You are allowed to feel this way." These affirmations are not about denying the pain or darkness you're feeling. They are about giving yourself permission to feel without judgment. When you speak to yourself in this way, you are actively reprogramming your relationship with your shadow. Instead of running away from your fears, you are showing them acceptance. This act of self-compassion is essential for integrating the shadow, as it allows you to embrace the parts of yourself that have been hidden or rejected. Over time, you'll begin to notice that your self-talk becomes kinder, gentler, and more supportive. This shift in your internal dialogue is one of the most significant outcomes of shadow work. Another benefit of the mirror technique is that it helps you to build self-awareness. By looking into your own eyes and acknowledging your feelings and emotions, you are forced to slow down and pay attention to the inner workings of your mind. You start to recognize the ways in which your shadow influences your actions, your relationships, and your reactions. Maybe you'll notice patterns of defensiveness when someone criticizes you, or perhaps you'll recognize how often you sabotage yourself when you're on the verge of success. These realizations are critical for personal growth, as they provide valuable insights into the unconscious forces that drive your behavior. The mirror technique makes you aware of these hidden influences, allowing you to take conscious control over how you respond to the world around you. Instead of acting out of habit or old patterns, you start to make choices from a place of awareness, slowly dissolving the grip that your shadow has on your life. The mirror technique also serves as a reminder that your shadow is not separate from you. It is an integral part of your being. We often think of the shadow as something outside of ourselves, something to be feared or rejected. But the truth is, the shadow is a mirror of our own inner landscape. It holds the parts of us that we've disowned, but it also holds the keys to our personal growth. When you look into the mirror and confront your darkness, you're not simply looking at something other or wrong, you're looking at yourself. In this sense, the mirror technique teaches you that the only way to fully integrate your shadow is to accept it as part of who you are. This doesn't mean that you condone harmful behavior or negative patterns. It means that you accept your imperfections, and in doing so, you give yourself the space to heal and evolve. The more you practice this technique, the more you'll realize that your shadow is not something to be feared or avoided. It is a part of your soul that is seeking to be understood, loved, and embraced. Triggers are often viewed as obstacles, moments that cause emotional distress or reactivity. Whether it's a comment from someone, a situation that makes you feel inadequate, or a memory that resurfaces unexpectedly, triggers can feel overwhelming. But what if you could see them not as problems, but as portals to self-discovery? The truth is, every trigger you experience is a signpost pointing to something deeper within you, something unresolved or hidden in your shadow. The key to transforming these moments of pain into opportunities for growth is awareness. Instead of reacting immediately with anger, shame, or fear, you have the power to pause and observe. What is this trigger trying to teach you? Why does it stir such a strong emotional response? By shifting your perspective, you can use your triggers as a tool for deepening your self-awareness and unlocking the parts of your psyche that need healing. When a trigger occurs, the first step is to resist the urge to react impulsively. This may mean taking a few deep breaths, stepping away from the situation, or simply pausing for a moment before responding. In these moments of pause, ask yourself, what is going on inside me right now? What feeling is rising to the surface? Often, the trigger is not about the situation at hand, but about something deeper. Perhaps a fear of rejection, feelings of inadequacy, or unresolved trauma. The more you can bring awareness to these emotions, the more you'll start to understand their origins. For example, if someone criticizes you and you feel an intense wave of defensiveness, pause and reflect. Why does this criticism affect me so strongly? What is it about this situation that feels threatening? You might uncover a fear of not being good enough or a deep-seated belief that you're unworthy. These realizations can be transformative, as they help you connect the trigger to your shadow and begin the process of healing. Once you've identified the emotion or belief behind the trigger, the next step is to explore its roots. Where did this feeling first emerge in your life? Often, our triggers are linked to past experiences, childhood wounds, painful memories, or negative messages we received from others. For example, if you were criticized frequently as a child, you might have internalized the belief that you're not good enough, and now, as an adult, any form of criticism may trigger an intense emotional reaction. When you become aware of the origins of these triggers, you gain insight into how your past is influencing your present. This is where the true power of shadow work lies. By acknowledging these buried beliefs and emotions, you begin to bring them into the light, where they can no longer control you. Instead of reacting unconsciously to triggers, you can choose to respond from a place of awareness and personal power. You can break free from the patterns that have been holding you back and begin to create a new, healthier relationship with your emotions. Triggers also serve as a reminder that the shadow is not something to be feared or eradicated. It is not a demon that will destroy you. It is a part of you that has been waiting to be acknowledged. This is the transformation that is possible through shadow work, but it's only available to those who are willing to face the darkness and walk the path of self-discovery. So, if you're ready to start this journey, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for life to change on its own. The only way forward is to take action. Make the decision today to confront your shadow and to embrace the process of transformation. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Remember, the work doesn't stop after 30 days. It's a lifelong journey of growth and integration. But each step you take brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. You have the power to change your life, to break free from old patterns, and to step into a future filled with authenticity, peace, and purpose. If you're ready to begin, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a like on this video if you found it valuable. I encourage you to come back every day for more insights and challenges to help you on your shadow work journey. Each video will bring you closer to the transformation you seek. Let's continue walking this path of self-discovery together. Remember, the hardest part is starting, and you've already made that choice. Now take the next step and commit to your own growth. Stay strong, stay present, and keep working with your shadow. You will be unrecognizable by the end of it.